Hey, thanks for coming. I'm sorry you have to see him like this. I know you two used to be close.
No, I'm glad you called. This is way worse than I thought. A complete relapse.
Yeah, he switched to the Dominus a few days ago. Just keeps driving around collecting boost and muttering to himself how the Dominus is faster, flat cars are the future of Rocket League, and other, delusions.
The boost has gone to his head. He needs a full detox. We'll wean him down with the small boost pads, but this is not going to be pretty.
Boost! Yeah, boost! Guys, this isn't a big deal.
Oh, really?
Are you sure about that?
Look, I could quit at any time.
I once heard my colleague Dr. Sunless Khan describe boost as being sexy.
Those big seductive boost pads.
Come to think of it, it was kind of inappropriate, and there's no way you could get away with something like that these days. After doing my own research, I prefer to think of boost as the crack cocaine of Rocket League. You may have outgrown your ball-chasing tendencies, but most people in Rocket League are boost users and abusers. Now, if you've been following my channel for a long time, this topic may sound familiar. I ended up removing my original boost video over 6 months ago, and now I'm bringing it back, new and improved, for my now larger audience. So let's get started and look at some tips to help you stop wasting boost. First of all, I want to talk about speed in Rocket League. Now, this is something I did go over in my demolition tutorials, but it's an important topic to touch on again because many people misunderstand this mechanic, and I think that's one of the number one reasons boost is wasted. So let's start with speed. When you're using your throttle, there's a maximum speed associated with it. When we add on boost, we eventually get to our top speed, often referred to as supersonic. Now, no matter how long you hold boost, you're not going to go any faster than 83 kilometers per hour. In fact, if you let go of boost, you can maintain your current speed as long as you don't hit anything or turn too sharply. Now, top speed is actually a little more complicated than how I'm describing it, so if you do want to know more, I'm going to recommend a video by Halfway Dead in his Rocket Science series, where he goes into top speed and supersonic. It's linked in the right hand corner. Now, we don't have a speedometer in Rocket League, but we do have visual cues we can look to know if we're at top speed. The first one you'll see is wheel trails, which will appear when we hit supersonic, and they're customizable, so you could choose a color or a style that makes them easier to see if you need to. Also, you'll see that particles start flying at the screen, and then there's a noise and a flash, as well as a camera distance change as I hit supersonic. In the heat of the game, it's easy to become blind to these visual cues. You're focused on the ball, you're trying to get to it as fast as you can, and you end up wasting boost. This is an example of me as a newer player in 2015. But this is a bad habit that even experienced players can be guilty of. One other thing that people don't realize is that it doesn't actually take that long to hit supersonic, only 2 seconds from a standstill. So if you're holding boost for more than 2 seconds, you're most likely wasting it. It's important to remember that there's other ways to gain speed in Rocket League. For example, from our top throttle speed, it only takes 2 forward dodges to reach supersonic. So dodges are a good alternative to using boost. So when you're moving around the field, I want you to keep these 3 things in mind. There's a top speed. You maintain your momentum as long as you don't turn sharply or hit anything. And dodges are a good free method to gain speed. Here we have my friend Kevlar demonstrating efficient movement around the field. He's using dodges whenever he can. He's using boost to get going after any sharp direction change. And he's picking up as many small pads as he drives past. This efficient use of boost allows him to save some for more important maneuvers such as aerials or challenging the ball. Alright, that covers speed. So let's move on to our next section where we're going to look at recoveries. Now, when I say recoveries, I mean maintaining your momentum and direction of travel after you've been bumped, after finishing an aerial, or maybe making a wall play. And it's going to make use of 3 main mechanics. The first one is dodging. Now, we know dodges can give speed, but the important part of dodges and recoveries is that we can dodge in almost any direction. The next mechanic is air roll. Now air roll allows us to orient our car so that we land on our wheels, which is very important for a fast recovery. And finally, the last one is power slide, which allows us to keep moving in a direction even if our wheels aren't facing that way. Now the skillful use of these mechanics should help us to avoid situations where we end up on our roof, facing the wrong way, or even coming to a complete stop, because those situations are going to require us to use boost to get going and back into play. So here's an example of using all those mechanics at once. Now this is a GC level recovery, where after a teammate bump, he's able to keep momentum and even play the ball. But that doesn't mean with a little practice that you too couldn't be a recovery superhero. So even though we're talking about not wasting boost, I think the most important part of recoveries is maintaining momentum and direction of travel, because that can be the difference between being there and not being there for that big play. Good recoveries are going to take practice, and there's actually full tutorials you can look up that specifically cover this. One thing I've been working on is making sure I hold my power slide anytime I get knocked off course, so I can keep my momentum and get facing the way I want to be going. Another tip might be to change your button layout, because the default control scheme doesn't make power slide an easy button to use. So our next section is aerials. Now it's true there's a top speed when you're in the air, but what we're going to focus on is the efficient use of boost. Basically some tips to help you understand that you can do your aerials with a lot less boost than you think. The first tip involves the fast aerial. Now once again, you can look up a full tutorial for this. This probably isn't me doing it very well as a demonstration, but you're pulling back, you're double jumping and boosting into the aerial. Now the first benefit of the fast aerial is, just like it's named, it's going to get you into the air a lot faster. And because you're using your 2 jumps, that is in fact going to save boost that would have been needed to gain that height. If you ever played against people that seem to get into the air quicker and beat you to the ball all the time, this most likely is what they're doing. Here in this example, you can see I use the double jump and boost to get into the air really quickly, and it also leaves me enough boost to pick up the double tap goal. The next aerial tip is boost feathering. Now boost feathering, or tapping your boost button, is essential to good control in the air, and it's going to help you avoid one of the biggest wastes of boost, and that's an aerial that you fail at. So here's an example of me tapping on the boost, making course corrections to pick up the goal. Here's a nice GC example of boost feathering. If you can master boost feathering, your aerial skills are going to improve as well, and you'll also find yourself landing from aerials with a lot more boost than you're used to having. You shouldn't land from every aerial with 0 boost. My last aerial boost management tip involves walls. Walls are your free path into the air, so anytime you can start an aerial off a wall, you're going to be making more efficient use of your boost. Here I transfer my speed into vertical height, using very little boost to get to the ball, which is fortunate because I end up needing that boost to fly down. You should now be fully equipped to kick your boost habit. Now, no one's asking you to quit cold turkey, but if you implement these things we talked about today, I believe you can reduce your boost intake to a more acceptable level. To end on a high note, I want to check back in with our original patient, Boost His Life. Now, I'm proud to report, after months of therapy, he started to make changes. He eventually switched back to the Octane, and with the help of his life coach, Musty, became the grand champion of his life. If you're interested in having your own Rocket League life coach and kicking some of your bad habits, I invite you to check out Gamers Ready. They have over 30 coaches to choose from and tons of 5-star reviews. Also, if you go to the resources section, you'll find some interesting Rocket League write-ups by me and other members of the content team. So check the links in the description of this video if you want to know more. My name is Rocket Sledge, and this has been Rocket League Life Hacks Episode 6. Thanks for watching.